All right, welcome back to the channel. So today I want to make a video of some oil that I just recently switched to, and I want to share. I believe it's probably one of the best oil options out there for classic cars, and I'll explain why. But first, for those who don't have patience, watch the whole video. This is the oil. It's Mobil 1 turbo diesel truck oil. It's 5W40. I believe it's a fantastic oil for classic cars. So let's talk about what I have been using, why this fits the need and slightly better, and also I'll talk about price. So what I have been using is Valvoline VR1 10W30. Here is my 68 Charger. This is just a mild built 318. Rebuilt, nothing real special. It does have a flat tappet cam. So like many classic cars, flat tappet cams require a little more zinc than some of your newer oils have. Now this is a pretty small cam, so it doesn't require a lot of zinc. However, this video, I would rather have a little extra and be safe than sorry. So what I've been using up until recently is Valvoline VR1 10W30. Fantastic oil, has 1400 parts per million zinc, which is a perfect amount or a really good amount. Will protect your cams. There are oils with really high, if you're running a straight really high lift cam, straight racing. There's other options out there, but for most classic cars, most mild built engines, and even high performance street engines, 12, 14, that's generally a good rule of thumb. This oil also has the 1300 parts per million. It also has very similar phosphorus levels. So it should protect the engine just as good as the Valvoline VR1. Now, what I like about the VR1 and what I dislike is the cost. It went up significantly. It used to cost, when I started buying it, was $7.50 a quart. You could find it, Walmart had it, all these places had it. In the 1 quart, and like I said, it's $7.50. Now it's $10 to $11 a quart. I believe if you switch to the 2050, which is way too heavy for most engines out there, especially most stock engines or in classic cars, that is way too heavy. But that you can get the 5 quart jugs. It's a little better price, but when you're buying 1 quart, $10, $11 is too much probably. This turbo diesel, this is, everyone's gonna say, well, it's a diesel oil, it's not gonna be good for gas engines. That's not true. Here is the specs on it. Don't read all the labels. Half this is in English and half of it's in Spanish. Well, I mean, I guess quite a bit is in Spanish, quite a bit's in English. I'm not sure why they mixed everything, but this is API SN SM rated, and both of those are for gas engines. So it does, it will work just fine with your gas engines. Okay, so what did I not like about the 10W30? Well, 10W30 is a nice generic, people's been using it for years. It's really not caught up to the technology we have with synthetic oils, especially this higher range. So basically, you get a little lighter winter blend or winter weight. So this is a 5W instead of a 10. And then you get a higher top end on a 40. Both those, if you go back and read most of your manuals on these classic cars, most of them, including this one, states, maybe a 520 in winter. And then in summer, maybe it's a 1040 or a 1030. Well, this is actually a combination of both, right? It'll have the the lower 5W for winter, and then it still has your higher 40 weight for your summer driving. And so what I found running the VR1 is I don't run this a lot in the winter, but I also don't want to change the oil just to drive it cold. But I found that the tin was a little heavy and it wasn't getting circulation fast enough. So as many of you are aware, the lower this number, the easier the oil circulates. That's why a lot of your high performance Corvettes now and Camaros will, they'll run like a 0W40. Again, they have found that they would like that oil to circulate very quickly on startup, because on startup is the most wear, because your bearing in your, let's say your crank or your rod bearing is against metal to metal contact. There's no oil film in there. And so you really want that to circulate quickly. This will do that. So that was my kind of problem with the 10W30. Again, old technology on the winter side, and it didn't go very high in the summer. Well, when I drive this in the summer, it's just three-speed transmission. I drive it a lot on interstate, driving 70. The oil gets pretty hot. I don't have a temperature gauge on it, but maybe I'll be running 45 PSI driving, and then when I shut it off, I'll, or when I'm idling, maybe it's set 10 to 15, maybe 20. Once I put this in it, I'm at, around 30 at idle when it was warm. Again, not super hot. So I'm expecting that to drop down to, 25 or so. That's perfect at idle. And again, it's kind of the nice in between of both winter and summer weight. Now, some people will recommend using something like a 2050 or mixing a high zinc into some of your other oils. Why I don't believe in doing either one of those. Number one, most street engines, unless you custom built it with higher clearances on your bearings, 50 weight's pretty heavy, especially if a 2050. You're not circulating oil very quickly at the beginning unless you have, again, some pretty high clearances in there. The reason I like the zinc that's in these versus buying a bottle of zinc and dumping it in, I'm not a chemist. However, if you're not driving a car every single day, how much of that zinc actually stays mixed versus how much of it drops out. So that's why I really don't like adding anything to these. Buy a good quality oil to start with, and you won't have to do any adders. So again, I think if you have a classic car, and you're kind of in that range of normal clearances, again, a lot of service manuals said use a 5 weight in winter, 40 weight in summer. So this is actually a perfect blend for a lot of those. So you might give it a try. Like I said, I guess I should point out, these are sold in 1 gallon. So if you buy this, that's 4 quarts. If you're used to buying a 5-quart jug, this was on special at Amazon when I bought them for about $24. For 4 quarts, so about $6 a piece. Now I think it went up, but Advance has it for, I believe, $28. Napa has it by the quart, I think, for about $7 a quart. So it's still relatively significantly cheaper than the VR1 for sure, but also cheaper than most of your higher zinc oils out there. And again, especially since it has the range that's needed for most of the classic cars. Tip, if you are thinking about, I run these valves on most of my engines. If you're going to install one on a Mopar that has the steering linkage on the back of kind of the engine by the drain plug, don't try to install one with this nipple. You're probably going to want part like F101 maybe, not the N. I didn't install this, but I was about to, and it will not work on this because the steering linkage will actually run into it. So anyways, thanks for watching. Like I said, I think a lot of people will be happy with this. It's probably better than most of the oils you're going to find out there. Anyways, thanks for watching. Please subscribe.